fish that reference two different boats, two different operations, two different mindsets. I chose 5 fish off the bottom of this tote right here. And I pulled 5 fish off the top of a different tote just across the floor. What I hope to show is 95% of fish quality comes from before you even catch the fish. You got to have a plan. You got to have a mindset of how you want that product to end up. High quality fish is no accident, especially when you're dealing with albacore. They're fragile. They don't like to be banged around. They're a naturally warm-blooded fish. They're about 90 degrees when they first come out of the water. And left to their own devices, I've seen that core temperature come up well above 100 degrees. That's just cooking the meat from the inside out. Starting with the fish that came off of the top of the tote. Let's back up a second. The boats. They're both, for the purposes of this, they're essentially the same. They're both 6-pack boats. They both have live bait. They both have a crew. And they both use fishing rods. Platform doesn't matter. Again, it's all about mindset and proper handling. These first 5 fish that I've cut, I'm familiar with the boat, been cutting their fish for a few years. And they don't seem to be getting any better as far as day-to-day, delivery quality. Now, these fish aren't being sold. These are customer fish. But they're on the bottom of the list as far as quality here in Albacore Harbor for a multitude of reasons. As you can see, I'm pointing out right here just some of the surface, the visible flaws. The scratched up skin, the chafed faces, beat up tail. And this particular boat, their fish storage, they've got a fish hold with mechanical refrigeration. These fish are spending a significant amount of time in a sub 32 degree environment. I could tell that by looking at the eyeballs. The eyeballs turn white, and once they turn white, they don't ever go back. That's going to be the first indicator that your fish is getting down there and getting cold. Once those eyeballs go white, cell walls start rupturing, you lose your texture and you lose your flavor, and more importantly, you lose your storability. It's already been, those cell walls have already broken down. You freeze that fish again, it's not going to have a very long shelf life. These random 5 fish that I pulled off of the top of this tote, they all had signs of poor gaffing, poor aim. Call it what you want. One of the fish, I don't know how they pulled it off, but one gaff job managed to affect all 4 loins of the fish and the belly. I don't think you could do that again if you tried. Back to the 2 different boats. While they have a lot of similarities, they have 2 big differences between them. This particular fish that's getting cut right now came off of a boat with the fish hold and mechanical refrigeration. While the next batch of fish that I'll be cutting came from a boat that uses nothing but ice and seawater. And they do a fantastic job with that ice and seawater. You said they have a plan. It's a mindset. I watched this boat turn their ship around in a matter of a couple of trips over the course of 3 years. When I first started cutting fish 3 years ago for these guys, everybody's fish was in need of some help, and we're getting there. We're getting there. It's all about education. These guys, they figured it out real quick. And I let them know that too. As I come up with ideas for this channel, I've been kicking around how to present these fish, and I'm determined to not use boat names, not use any of the names of the cast of characters involved. It's not what this channel is about. It's about education and about these fish that I'm quite passionate about. Not trying to make anybody look bad or showcase anybody. I'd like to see everybody come back with a high quality product. It really bums me out seeing these beautiful fish that were captured not very far off the beach, but well within 1 day range, showing up in the evening looking like this. So for those that would like to use this information to choose a boat to go albacore fishing on, like I said, I'm not going to name any names, but I'll give you some information and some suggestions. Number one being ask questions. When you make a phone call, you send an email considering booking one of these boats, ask them questions, specific questions. Do you have a fish hold or do you use ice? If they have a fish hold, what is the thermostat set at? Another good question to ask would be, have you checked your thermostat with the actual temperature? There could be a couple of degree differential between what the thermostat says and what the actual temperature is. And that 1 or 2 degrees differential is enough to freeze your fish if you don't shut your liquid line solenoid down at the right time. Deliberate questions will get you the answers you need. What steps do they take when handling? Do they use a gaff or do they use a net? Do they club the fish? Do they spike the fish? How do they bleed the fish? These are all very pertinent questions that you absolutely have the right to ask as a customer. And if you get any kind of feedback, suggestions like, oh, that doesn't matter, that might set up a little red flag. Any of these operations should be happy to answer these questions. Both these boats were fishing on the same day in the same area. So as far as that goes, this little comparison is about as close as you can get to apples and apples as you can in an informal setting like this. So just remember the yellow tray there. These are the fish that came out of a fish hold with mechanical refrigeration. I'm pointing out right there the white eyeball of that fish, the inner eye. That's the first sign that you got too cold, when those eyeballs turn white. And once they go white, they never go back. If they get a little bit firm, all I got to do is turn the refrigeration off and they're not firm anymore. But the damage has been done. And that's not to say the fish are ruined, because they're absolutely not. They're absolutely not. They're just degraded. Shelf life is a lot less. The texture, the firmness, the flavor, it's all degraded. But it's still a high quality protein. These fish would be awesome canned up in mason jars and made into sandwiches. That's personally my favorite way to eat these things. Is home canned, made into a tuna salad. You can't beat it. And you don't need the highest quality fish to achieve those results. So if all you're into is just bringing home several 100-pound of fish to can them, quality isn't really a huge consideration. But if you're a little bit more discerning and you're looking for a higher quality product, I hope I could show you what to look for, what not to look for, and what question to ask when the time comes. Yeah, you can see plain as day that stack of loins there. Every other one of them's got a gaff hole right in the middle of the meat. Yeah, these, like I said, I just grabbed 5 random fish off the top of the tote. And if the first 5 are showing that, I gotta believe that the rest of the tote looks pretty much the same. So these fish came off of a different 6-pack boat. They bring out a load of ice with them every morning. And I don't know what their system is, but it's working. They turned their program around really quick when I gave them a couple of pretty honest criticisms. And in the course of that year, they turned it around, and they're doing fantastic. I'd even say that they're consistently the nicest looking fish that I've been cutting. But you can see this fish here. It looks like it just came out of the water. It's got a little bit of rubbing on the gill plate there, but you notice it's not pink. That's just white. That's post-mortem from sitting in this fish box. A boat's a dynamic environment. Everything's moving all the time. It's going to go same with the fish in the box. These fish are super nice. They're firm. They don't want to fall apart when you hold them up by their weight. And that fish looks like it just came out of the water. And these 5 fish, they came off of the bottom of a tote. See that tote there in the corner? Now, at one point, there were another 40 or so fish on top of these 5. Like I said, albacore is soft fish. The difference between top and bottom of the tote can be quite significant. In this case, it's not, because the fish are very well handled. The quality is going to remain the same all through every layer of that tote, or any tote that comes off of this boat. My initial idea was to point out every little flaw in each fish as I was cutting. But looking at the footage, it's really hard to capture that. I'm going to have to come up with something. I'll figure it out. This whole digital creator thing for me is a brand new deal. I'm quite awkward with all the gear and speaking into a microphone and all of that. It's all new to me. But I'll get it figured out. Just bear with me. But instead of pointing out every little flaw in each fish, this is just a general comparison of how 2 different operations handle their fish. And these are not cheap boats. I don't know exactly what the prices are, but they're $4,000 to $7,000 for a charter for the day for 6 guys. I may be speaking a little bit out of line there, but I'm pretty sure I'm in the ballpark. It's a significant investment. Having been a charter boat owner operator, I'm very familiar with the business, and I know what's involved in getting one of these trips booked and off the dock and successful. Again, some guys, the level of quality isn't as important to them as it would be to me or some other people. But you should at least be armed with the knowledge of what's going on, because it can be pretty intimidating. You're out there having a good time. Albacore like to bite very well at times. You catch them one right after another. Having the best day of your life, and at the same time not even considering what's happening with the fish. You standing right there looking at him, basking in the joy of a successful stop or a great trip or whatever. But those fish, they don't stop for no man. It's a battle from the moment they get out of the water to the moment they get processed, to fight against time, temperature, and gravity, and oxygen. Those are all the things that'll degrade a fish. So I might actually go for a boat ride here in the next week or two. I haven't been out to sea since 2021, but I'm going to try and pull it off this year. Go out there with the camera, get some footage. I'd like to get on this boat right here that I'm cutting the fish now and see their process and document that and show it off, and use it as an example to the rest of the guys. This is how to do it. They're doing it right, and I'd like to show them off a little bit. You're just going to let the video run here, cutting these 5 fish that are going in the red tray. Real nice fish. These guys are doing a great job. Once we get a little bit closer to the end, show some footage of the 2 trays there side by side. Again, it's hard to tell visually. The camera just don't quite capture it. But you can't miss the gaff holes and the fragile fish, the loin separating and stuff like that. It's noticeable. You can see it, but it's really hard to capture. We'll get that figured out here eventually. Again, it's really hard to capture this on film, but you look at this yellow tray, you could see the gaff holes in the middle of the loins, and you could see like that fillet that's right there. You can see it separating from poor. It's just poor handling. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Excuse the awkwardness. I imagine it's going to be that way for a little while. I'm still figuring all this shit out. We'll get there. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.